Welcome back to Yanks Abroad. Gio Reyna, unbelievable. The moment we needed from him. He got it quickly, and he left his mark on the match. I just want to start by saying all credit to Gio Reyna. This was not expected by most, well received by all, and after everything that's happened in the last 4 years for club, for country, his parents, Berhalter, you name it, for him to get out there and score a goal in the 4th minute, after not being a part of this side for so long, I mean, you saw what it meant to him. You saw what it meant to his teammates, like the belief that it created and what it's going to mean for us moving forward. It was always, in an ideal world, it was always going to be Gio Reyna being a part of this World Cup squad. And not just being a part of it, but being a key aspect of it from the start, from the get-go. And who knew if he was going to get his chance? And I don't even mean because of Pochettino or for anything else. Like, he never really earned a chance up until now, other than the fact that he has so much raw ability. But for him, somebody who doesn't always answer the call, to come up, to show his worth, to clearly trained hard enough this week to where not only did Pochettino play him, but started him after the comments that Pochettino made. And by the way, I don't care that Mobs says Max Arfson was the man of the match because he was far from it. Gio Reyna was the man of the match. An unbelievable performance from him. Obviously, the goal, he doesn't get credited for an assist, but that Balogun goal strictly comes because Gio Reyna makes a great run off of Balogun, picks up the ball, plays a well-timed cross into the box that falls after a deflection to Balogun kindly. Through the numbers, 39 to 47 passing, 2 chances created. He had 2 successful dribbles, won 4 of his 9 ground duels, and just was a different type of player from what we've seen at club or country level now for a little bit of time. He was aggressive off the ball. He was brilliant at finding pockets of space, and I just want to get right into it on the tactical board with Gio Reyna, because the thing about these positions here, these double tens, is that's everything that we create. Everything comes from this ball into the double tens. And I thought Brendan Aaronson was very poor in this match in finding those spaces. But what Gio Reyna did is he was so smart in his movement. He was so patient in his movement, finding little pockets of space, right? Sometimes he was dragging forward, bringing this defender forward with him. Sometimes he was kind of drifting out wide, letting Des come inside. Sometimes he was kind of letting Tessman carry through the middle here, and then Reyna would kind of flank himself into this half space. And so now you left yourself with a couple of center backs trying to decide what to do with Balogun and Reyna. At times, he got so tight to Balogun, like he did on that goal, where the ball could either come into Balogun or to Reyna, and allowed the two of them to play a two-man game. He had his head up. He was working hard off the ball, winning second balls. Just an all-around perfect Gio Reyna performance. And not to mention, this was an incredibly physical game. We've seen in the past with Gio Reyna, physical matches, sometimes he disappears, sometimes he doesn't want to put a foot in. Like, even the fact that he was involved in 9 duels, like he was trying to win that ball back high up the pitch. To me, what I learned from Gio Reyna is not only is it important to get him on the pitch, but we actually may need to go back to this back four in order to best accommodate him and Tillman and Pulisic. Because if we can get the 3 of them on the pitch together with Balogun up top, we can create a serious amount of danger. And yes, it's a lot of attackers. It's a lot of players who want to play centrally. And I'm going to get to how that might look in the future. But just to quickly kind of give you a preview, and we're going to get to that, this is how I could see this lineup becoming. Like, with the ability of Serginho Dest and Jedi to both overlap, with the ability of Pulisic and Tillman to both pop out wide, I think so many different things can happen here with this lineup. And yes, it's very aggressive. If we play England, do I think this is the lineup we're going to go with? No. But in a match where we expect to dominate possession, the ability for Reyna and Tillman to kind of tuck in as these double tens, and then for Dest to overlap, or for Pulisic and Reyna to kind of create these double tens, and for Tillman, he can even drop down here. Des can pop up here. Jedi could get up here. You could have a situation here where Tessman drops in between them, and you're kind of creating this diamond this way, right? Like, it's a little bit of this, or Reyna pops here, or you could even have a situation where Tillman kind of drops into this situation, Des kind of gets here, Reyna gets wider. There's so many different possibilities with Gio Reyna and the way that he played tonight. Now, of course, what this means is Gio Reyna is going to need to continue to play an aggressive style. It is so important in the way Pochettino plays that those players in those positions who are high up the pitch, below the striker, are not only willing to win second balls out of possession, but in possession. So much of what we create comes from balls going into the channel over the top, right? We see so much of, whether it's from Scally or from Ream or from Freeze, even from the center back, from the wing backs, we see this ball get played in a lot. And what happens is, whether it's Balogun, whether it's Pepe, Ajamang, you name the player, when they make this run, a lot of the time this ball gets knocked down. And so this left back, or most likely, has pulled forward. Now the opportunity is for this player to run into the space and win this second ball. Yes, a midfielder's going to be dropping in, but you're going to have this player coming off the other 10 space, right? This can be on either side. You're going to have a fullback on the weak side. So it's so much that can be created in these areas, and we even saw a goal come from that. It was not necessarily a channel ball, but out of possession. We win the ball back high up the pitch. Balogun gets into it, and what Gio Reyna does is he plays right off Balogun and gets into this position on the other side. Gio Reyna can't be a bystander in Pochettino's system. For Berhalter, there was a lot of different moving parts in terms of the fact that we were kind of playing a horseshoe style, right? Everything was kind of being passed around. It was not about central access. We actually didn't go over the top all that much into the channels. We kind of tried to play straight balls over the top and knock them down into the midfield. But Pochettino has been really smart in using his strikers to their ability as channel runners to get our best players on the ball in kind of loose ball, scrappy situations, 50-50s. And that's what Gio Reyna did so beautifully tonight. There's some other performances, obviously, we should get into. We talked a lot about Gio Reyna. Tanner Tessman, the last two international camps, has kind of done exactly what I expected him to do since the Olympics of last year, which is pretty much cement himself as one of the starting central midfielders. I just think he offers, what I've been saying, he offers something that nobody else in this team offers. An athletic build, an ability to cover space, an ability to drop that shoulder and drive through midfield when he wants to, but also to be a high-volume and highly accurate passer. He's not worried about his passing accuracy, right? 39-51 doesn't look amazing, but that's also because he's willing to play balls, dangerous balls. And by dangerous balls, I mean creating danger, not dangerous for his own back line. 39-51 passing, 3 of 6 accurate on long balls, and just excellent in midfield on the duels. 7 of 10 overall. So strong aerially, obviously, because of his size, especially against those CONCACAF nations who are not necessarily known for their height. I think Roldan, it's a weird one with Christian Roldan. I think he's been really solid in a lot of areas. He's really good in the final third as far as our midfield options go, but he continues to kind of get caught off the ball. So many times the ball gets played through him and around him, right? Look at his duels, 3 of 10, and it looked worse than that. The ball going through his legs, him diving into a tackle and being nowhere near it. Just not really on the mark in terms of being a midfielder. I think Roldan could play next to an Adams or a Cardoso, someone who's more suited to sitting in front of that back line, but him and Tessman together is a liability, and we saw it a few times tonight, especially with that back line who were not really well suited to playing those three in general, but obviously are not our most talented. But Christian Roldan continues to work hard. I think there's probably a place for him in a 26-man squad as of right now, especially with Yunus Musa being on the outside looking in, but definitely not Roldan's best performance here for the U.S. men's national team. Just to continue to go through it, Brendan Aaronson also, I can't believe we're still talking about Brendan Aaronson. Like, I could have told you at the last Copa America that Brendan Aaronson was not going to be anywhere near this World Cup squad. He's somehow sticking around. I know he's playing a lot for Leeds, but he was just so poor. 5 of 13 ground duels won. And again, just like he's like a bunny rabbit, like an Energizer bunny, without any of the punch. Like, it's a lot of just worthless running, for lack of a better term. Like, he's spending a lot of energy and looks like he's trying really hard, but off the ball, he's lost. On the ball, he doesn't have the patience, right? Like we talked about with Gio Reyna, like finding these little pockets. Brendan Aaronson, a lot of it is like sprinting out to the side. The ball doesn't come. Sprinting back to the middle. He doesn't wait for everything to move around him, right? So this ball is kind of building up from the back. This is Miles Robinson. I don't know where his name went. Scally, Des, right? Like Des kind of gets higher up the pitch. Arfston, like our whole left side dynamics continue to be a bummer with Arfston, and I think Aaronson doesn't really play so well off of him. So when this ball came out to Arfston, like Aaronson tried to make this run out here. It's not there, right? So instead of waiting for, Roldan to pop in here, Tessman drops this way. He's got these options. Aaronson immediately tries to pop back in. Now you've created a situation where this defender gets dragged in with Roldan. There's nothing here, and the ball has to swing back around. Seven comes and covers Tessman. The left-hand side has just been a total mess, and we're so missing Anthony Robinson. But we do need to figure out what this is going to look like without Anthony, and I do hope we get to see John Tolkien play against Uruguay. I know that's a tough opponent, but yes, Max Arfston had an assist. I think he's got like 5 assists and a goal in 15 U.S. men's national team matches. The problem isn't the final third. Like, yes, Max Arfston can create some interesting things in the final third. He's pretty two-footed, crossing-wise, pretty accurate. He can score a goal, but he doesn't have any ability to do anything in the first 2/3 of the pitch that help us. And against better teams, if we're only one-sided, it's going to limit the way that Dest, Reyna, Tillman, whoever's on this right-hand side can play. It's going to limit the way Christian Pulisic can play. And that's obviously a huge issue. I don't know what the answer is, and I continue to kind of want to go back to this back four because I think with Reyna, Pulisic, and Tillman, the only way to get them all on the pitch at the same time is to have it look like that. But the left-hand side needs a lot of work at this very moment. To continue to go through the defense, the goal we gave up was not great. And Miles Robinson, although I do think he's probably still in this World Cup squad, he can't play center back, especially with the other two guys who are flanking him. He's so overly aggressive at times, throwing himself into challenges in midfield, trying to win duels that he has no chance in winning, not realizing who his partners are, right? Scally and Tim Ream, although they are solid, have no recovery speed. So Miles Robinson kind of needs to be the player that is sweeping everything up behind those two players, especially with a guy like Tim Ream, who loves to step forward and play a pass, who loves to step forward and try and make an interception, who tries to step into midfield when we're further up the pitch. Miles Robinson needs to understand that. And the goal came because, frankly, Scally and Ream were a little bit out of position. Robinson was not where he needed to be, and then nobody tracked the marker. Ream was trying. He ran out of pace, and it almost happened again 5 minutes later. Miles Robinson's much better suited to that right center back position for me. Although he doesn't really love to play the kind of passes you need out of that role. Again, I do think he's probably still right in on the border of the squad. And, of course, we'll get into what our squad will look like for the World Cup after this international break, as we always do. So make sure you're subscribed so when that video comes out, it comes up on your feed. But not his best performance here tonight either. Still scrapped out a win. Joe Scally. Man, I wanted Joe Scally to play well tonight. And I don't think he was as poor as some people are saying he was. I thought he was just fine. A lot of people weren't impressed with him. I wouldn't say I was impressed. This is not a great system for him. It was not a great lineup for him. He just really struggled for me defending in the channels. And as much as people say he can play in that right center back role, as high up the pitch as we're trying to play, I'm not sure he can. In the past, when we've seen him do it, it's a team that's playing a much lower block. And so he doesn't have to cover as much ground. He's a fine 1v1 defender. We saw him, quote-unquote, lock up Vinny in that friendly against Brazil last summer. Or that was 2 summers ago. 2 summers ago, which is crazy. That feels like yesterday. But when they're playing this high of a line and he's chasing so much, it doesn't really play out well for Joe Scally at all. He was fine, though, tonight. 56 of 61 passing. Won all of his duels, as we know he can. He's a strong player. I mean, it's crazy that Joe Scally is still 22 years old. Can you believe that? Joe Scally is still only 22 years old. If he doesn't make this World Cup, I'm sure he'll be in the next World Cup squad. Like, there's still so much to like about Joe Scally. I think with the emergence of Alex Freeman, obviously Serginho Dest just being probably our most creative player and one of the most important players we have, especially with Anthony Robinson out, there's just not a lot of space for Joe Scally. Him and Miles Robinson, to me, probably battling it out now for that backup right center back position. We'll see what happens in the Uruguay game, right? Like, let's see if Mark McKenzie plays. Let's see if Austin Trusty plays. Let's see if it's a really more of a rotation than maybe was expected. Like, I would have thought the stronger team would have played against Uruguay. Maybe Pochettino wanted to go out and get this win and platform Reyna in the best way he can. I'm happy with how this match has gone, but certainly an interesting one for this group of players. I feel bad that we haven't even talked about Folarin Balogun yet, but just continues to score goals when he plays. And I think one of the biggest knocks on Folarin Balogun in his career up to this point is he hasn't been that clinical sometimes, wasteful of chances. But for the U.S. men's national team, he has been just unbelievable and exactly what we need. And I don't mean this in a bad way, but the exact opposite of Ricardo Pepi, who has been so clinical for PSV, but seems to miss some pretty easy goals for the U.S. men's national team, including tonight against Paraguay. I mean, I don't know how he didn't score that. The amount of time he had to get that shot off when the goal was completely empty took his time and didn't score it. But Balogun clinical, he does a lot with a few touches in a match like this, right? 5 of 6 passing. Like, I'm not thrilled with how little involvement he had. Just 15 touches of the ball. Wasn't involved in an aerial duel. Like, wasn't Folarin Balogun's most impactful game. And I think a lot of that had to do with Brendan Aaronson. I think a lot of it had to do with our left side dynamics being completely off in this match and it being so physical and fought in kind of the midfield areas. But still, he ends up with a goal, and it's the game-winning goal. Like, I'm not going to sit here and complain about Balogun when he does things like that consistently on top of all the other ways he's impacted games in the past. I'd like to see him get more involved. But again, with the way that this team was set up, I mean, look at who he had feeding him. And Reyna and Dest, they played wonderfully off each other. They were spectacular, right? This whole right-hand side, it was Dest getting the ball and overlapping, bringing defenders with him, Reyna popping into this channel, or Reyna coming out wide here, Tessman dropping into the middle, and Balogun kind of just dragging defenders around, Roldan getting into this diamond situation, right? Like at times we kind of saw it look like this, where Des was out wide, and you were able to play into this situation, and as the defense shifted, you found Arston, or mostly Arston, sometimes Aaronson, popping out way out here in tons of space. So it wasn't Balogun's best game in terms of his involvement on the ball, but he still continues to impact the game in so many ways that we haven't really had a striker do in the past. And to do that on top of being clinical, it's going to be enough for me. He didn't score the goal tonight. I think we're having a different conversation, and so I do want to be mindful of that, where it's like, we can't judge everything off goals and assists or not goals and assists, but you get a game-winning goal, you get a check mark for me, you get a solid rating for me. I'm excited to see what's to come here in the Uruguay match. It's worth noting that the level very much dipped when those subs came on. When Berhalter came on, when Diego Luna came on. Diego Luna is definitely on a bit of a watch here. He's been a little bit wasteful with the ball, although he did do well to find Pepe on that cross. He seems to be coming on in these matches when there's tons of space, when teams are attacking us, when we're up a goal. I'd like to see him do more with that. That's really where he can be at his best, running with the ball on counterattacks when defenses only have a couple men back. That's kind of where Diego Luna should be scoring goals and putting games away. Like, I think that's where we'd be using him in a World Cup, because I don't really think he's much of a low block killer, right? Like, that's not really his game. So I mostly would see him, not when we're chasing a game, but in fact when we're up, the way that he can play in transition, it would be exciting to me, right? Like him coming on for Reyna when we're in transition, that makes sense to me. So I didn't think he was great. Timmy Tillman, I actually thought was okay. I'm not a fan. He's not going to make the World Cup squad. I thought he was fine. Aiden Morris continues to kind of struggle in this side as well. And Alex Freeman, he got himself in that tussle, looking like his dad playing NFL football there. But again, you walk away with a win against a tough physical side. I'm not going to complain. Things are starting to look up. And I think things got really, really negative at a point under Pochettino because we've had a lot of injury problems, and we still are facing those injury issues. Like, you look at this side right now that started tonight. The absolute most players you could say in this side that are going to start in the World Cup are Balogun, Tessman, Dest, Freeze, and Ream, right? If everybody's healthy, absolute most that could start of those five, right? Arfson doesn't start if we're healthy. Roldan, Aaronson, Scally, Robinson, Arfston, like those guys don't start. So 5 starters out of 11. That's not even half. I think it's highly unlikely at this point Gio Reyna is a starter. Just being realistic, like he looked great. This is a friendly. If he doesn't play a lot of club football in the next 7 months, he's not going to be a starter. He's not going to be fully match fit. Tim Ream, this is the slowest he's looked. I've been saying this for a couple of years. Tim Ream's in the squad. He's a starter. But when that pace is completely gone, when he is lost, when he falls off that cliff, because it happens at a certain age, right? I mean, Tim Ream at this point is 38. At a certain age, it's just going to happen. That could still happen. So there's a lot of question marks about this side, and we still went out and beat Paraguay. So I'm excited to see the squad against Uruguay. I'd really like to see John Tolkien. I feel like other people probably feel similarly. I'd like to see Mark McKenzie, Haji Wright, Pepe. I want to switch the squad up a little bit. I'd love to see Gio Reyna get another start. I'd love to see Tanner Tessman get another start. So a lot to look forward to. Make sure to stay here at Yanks Abroad for that post-match reaction, so hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment down below on your thoughts on the match, who you want to see against Uruguay, and of course, we'll talk to you after that match on Tuesday.